Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are once again going to be talking about Back 4 Blood. And what I wanted to talk about, guys, is Back 4 Blood. Now, Back 4 Blood content has been a little bit high and dry, to be perfectly frank. There really hasn't been too much to talk about. I understand there's given world events, and that might possibly be interfering, but even just a tweet, possibly, Turtle Rock, maybe a beta announcement. Anyways, I'm just kind of mouthing off. But yeah, guys, we've got good news and we've got bad news in regards to Back 4 Blood. I just recently watched a video where I found out some information for you guys that I want to go over here in today's video. Full credit to the YouTube channel, by the way, will be linked down below in the description because I'm basically going to be reiterating the same thing that he said in his video. So shout out to him, by the way. But yes, guys, let's talk about the good news and the bad news in regards to Back 4 Blood recently, and basically my give or take on it. Now, by the way, just want to let you guys know we are going to do the good news first and the bad news second, and feel free to let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this news. If you want to see more videos like this, leave a like and subscribe. But yes, guys, let's talk about the good news, because we want to start off on a positive note. So the good news is for Back 4 Blood is that in terms of the card system or the micro DLC, so far, at least so far, and now this could be an evolved thing and they completely could back out of this, but at least so far, Turtle Rock has said that there's going to be 0 pay-to-win cards that are going to be at Back 4 Blood. That's a really, really good thing, because I was very worried when I saw the card deck and I was like, okay, I think I'm like blackjack and gambling when I see this. But I was worried with the card deck that, you know, like Back 4 Blood was going to possibly be pay to win, and I thought that, hey, they might end up trying to not only sell us micro DLC in terms of the skins and the maps, but they also might be trying to nickel and dime us for the cards, but so far they have said that they will not do that. Is this a guarantee? No, it's not a guarantee, but still better to hear something than to hear nothing, such as like Activision, where they act like they don't even hear it and they ignore it, and they act like if you don't acknowledge it, it goes away, which I'm glad that Turtle Rock has said that they won't do that. Now, Warner Bros., since they're the publisher and they have more authority, kind of like how Activision does with Call of Duty, we all know that that could change, but it's at least a reassuring thing. Let me know what you think of that. Also, another thing that is also really, really good news, by the way, is that they have actually promoted the fact that characters and the maps will be tweaked. This is also really huge. Let's talk about the characters first. So our characters that we currently have in the game that we were at least able to play as was Evan Angelo, Walker, Holly, and Hoffman. Now, these characters were the ones that were in the alpha, and we also got the announcement of Mom. Now, the thing with these characters is that they were promising so far. They did seem enjoyable, but to be perfectly honest, they weren't really that fun to play as, because they didn't really have quite a personality. They only really just had battle chatter. And the thing is with battle chatter is that you really don't end up having a connection with your character. You kind of just feel like you're playing as a generic person, with maybe the exception of a couple one-liners and everything. I just remember Hoffman just basically having daddy issues. That was the only voice line of significance that related to his personality, air quote. But yeah, like, I'm very glad to hear that the characters are going to be getting an overhaul, because the characters are really going to need some voice lines to be able to make us feel attached to them and feel sentimental, kind of like all the Left 4 Dead characters such as Ellis, Coach, Bill, Zoe, all the other characters that we just know and love. We don't want them basically being like Rochelle. That's basically what I'm trying to get at here, is we don't want them to be like Rochelle, where they have like essentially no personality. And I'm very glad to hear that the characters will be enjoyable. Hopefully they'll end up having some backstories. Hopefully they'll have a little bit of comedic humor. But not something like that would make it uncomfortable to play as them. Like, we don't want to be like doing Netflix adaptations of characters where all of a sudden that there's some left field voice line. It's just like, okay, why the hell did you add that? So that's a really good thing to know. Hopefully that wouldn't be the case. I'm really hoping that the characters are actually enjoyable. The other thing that I also want to mention about, by the way, is the map. So the map which we played in the alpha was called Evansburg. This was a map that we were playing in the alpha, and was like our first taste at Back 4 Blood. Now, one thing I heard, and by the way, I'm quoting all this, but summarizing at the same time too, I'm doing bits and pieces, but basically the idea is that, the idea behind Evansburg is that it was a testing ground, or basically like a paradise for the developers to basically test out all their stuff. It wasn't necessarily just specifically a campaign. They didn't just have a separate thing or a separate sandbox where they tested out elements. They used Evansburg for that. So what they wanted to do in the alpha is that they intentionally crammed in a whole bunch of game mechanics to see how the game mechanics played in the game. In hindsight, that actually explains why the map was so hard. You guys remember when we played Back 4 Blood and it was super extremely difficult, where we had the crows everywhere, and certain special infected, like the Tall Boy or the Charger remake, would end up attacking us all the time, and it would feel like we're getting swarmed by everything. Stuff like that, and that made the game mode super difficult. That was actually upscaled, and that's not supposedly the real difficulty of the game. This is huge, by the way. They did not say anything about the unlimited tries being a thing in the game. They said nothing about that of the sort, which unfortunately is a little bit worrying, which means that we might end up having where the game still only gives a certain amount of tries. But at least the game is supposed to be easier. They basically put everything in there on purpose all at once because they wanted to test multiple things at once, so that way they could get a general feel with the limited amount of few days that we had access to the alpha, which makes sense in hindsight, and for that I can appreciate. I'm glad that there is some clarification there. But unfortunately, really, the thing is, though, is with that kind of ends the good news, and now we get into two things that I'm a little bit worried about with the bad news. One kind of is potential good news, but it's not a fact, or at least not something that the developer said. It would be just kind of an educational guess. So we got two definitely bad news, at least in my opinion, and then one sort of good news that comes from one. So one of the things that I am worried about, but could sort of technically be a good thing, is the idea of modding. And I already proposed the idea about modding in Back 4 Blood already in my wants list, because Back 4 Blood, I hope that if it's not necessarily going to be like a Left 4 Dead style game, I want to try to get as similar to that as I can. Hence the idea of mods. So with Left 4 Dead having mods has made the game extremely successful because we have a whole bunch of community-made content that keeps the game alive. I can tell you this for me personally, is that if the game didn't have mods, it would die out a lot sooner. Take Left 4 Dead 1, for example. You could get mods, but it was super difficult. So imagine that compared to none at all. Imagine how even more difficult it would be to keep that player base alive. So with Back 4 Blood, to keep the player base alive, especially since the content was only, looks like it's going to be for about a year, because they said like 3 major content drops and they said nothing else after that, basically, at least so far. We want to make sure that after that first initial year or two, that there's going to be content. Now, originally in the alpha, when there's the game files available, there was actually a couple of fan members from the community that was able to, in Back 4 Blood, make custom content already within those 3 days. There was already people that were making custom content. A guy loaded into a custom map and was making custom content already because it's on Unreal Engine, which is a very easy engine to end up modding and having a whole bunch of capability, which means that modding, at least at the given moment, was possible, and people already were doing it. But here's the thing that is unfortunately the downside about this, is that Turtle Rock and Warner Bros., I don't necessarily know which one of them gave the order, but I know that they both would have to agree on it because technically Warner Bros. Is the boss of Turtle Rock, so they probably told them to do this. But unfortunately, people of the community that were doing this either got copyright striked or up and right banned for doing this. This is the same thing with even just looking at the game files. So even though the game files were open via the alpha, especially if you played on the PC, you could dig in them easily, very easily, because of the fact it's on Unreal Engine. But the unfortunate thing is, though, is that people were getting punished for it. So even though we have the game where you can make mods and you can make content, which is very reassuring and leads to what we want, Turtle Rock / Warner Bros., mostly Warner Bros. I would figure, because it's always the publisher, they're the boss, they're the ones restricting us and actually punishing people for doing it. That is very bad, considering also the fact is already is that about the nickel and diming thing. I could easily relate this back to Evolve. We all know how that Evolve went. Evolve was supposedly supposed to be the Left 4 Dead successor. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was supposed to be the same thing, or the same advertising slogan as Back 4 Blood. But I was thinking to myself, being like, okay, one single fluke. This isn't EA, this isn't also Activision, so maybe that was just a dumb fluke. Okay. But there's already the foreshadowing, I guess you could say, that leads to that, and I'm a little bit worried about that, and it could be a big worry if the beta comes around and that same kind of mindset consistently happens. So with Back 4 Blood, there is the ability of mods. It's already happened, but you can get punished for it. My assumption is this, is that since Left 4 Dead never really had paid content drops, other than technically on the 360 where you'd have to pay for maps, but Back 4 Blood this time around ends up having paid content where they've already promoted custom skins. They've also already promoted the fact that there's going to be custom survivors and Ridden, and also maps. a lot of the stuff in this game is going to be paid for, and I don't know if there's going to be any free content, I guess you could say, at all, really, when a lot of games are starting to move towards that. Even Call of Duty finally did do that, by the way. So even Activision has already a one-up on Warner Bros. In comparison to their game. Now, here's the thing, is that they could pull a Black Ops 3, if you guys remember the story about Call of Duty Black Ops 3, where Black Ops 3 got modding capability, but it was after the DLC cycle. So for Call of Duty Black Ops 3, this is one of my also personal favorite games, other than the Left 4 Dead series to mod. And other than World at War, Black Ops 3 is the only other Call of Duty you can mod. Now, with Black Ops 3, modding was promoted at the very beginning of the game, which was very, very nice. But unfortunately, it didn't really come around until like the last DLC for Black Ops 3 being done, which means that all the paid content got out of the way, then they made room for the free content. I'm hoping that Back 4 Blood doesn't have a restriction where there's no content that's made by the community at all, and if anything, at the very worst case scenario, they just make it where after the paid DLC cycle is gone, then, you know, when they stop making paid DLC or just DLC in general, that the community can step in and then make the content for the rest of the game. That I understand. I hope it's from the very beginning, but I completely understand if it's after the paid DLC, of course, because we don't want the idea of being like, okay, we're not going to let you make content because we want you to pay for it. That's just dumb, and sometimes community members can make better content than that's within the actual game. So that's what I'm really, really hoping for, and that's one of the things I'm very concerned about. And I really, really hope at the end of the day that Back 4 Blood doesn't die because of something stupid like this, because I can tell you this, is that as I become an adult, I can't necessarily guarantee for children, but I've come prone to being having hard skin with this publisher BS, or just adult life just adult life perception, if you will. I don't end up tolerating BS. So if the game sucks, even I won't play it. I don't want this game to suck. I want to succeed and I want to do well. But if the game ends up doing anything, anything sketchy at all, it could die right away. So my biggest hope is this, is that Back 4 Blood, if you're gonna kill your game, please only have it be because of something that's not your fault. If you willingly kill the game because you're trying to force microtransactions down our throat or trying to even punish us, that's not cool, dude. That's really, really not cool. So, we got the double whammy out there right away, which is peeking into the game files and getting punished, and also restricting people from making content, even though you can. So, that is my news that I've got for Back 4 Blood so far, ladies and gentlemen. Good news and the bad news, and what do I think about this at the end of the day? Well, I'll tell you this. In my humble opinion, it's mostly good news. Because even the bad news, it can be changed because of the fact that even in the game in the first place. It's really just for Warner Bros. And for Turtle Rock to give the okay. I like the idea that you can even make custom content in the first place, especially how easy it was, considering the fact that we only had 3 days in the alpha. I am very reassured, at least, that the fact that the cards are supposedly going to be not pay to win, but that could be a complete lie. We'll have to wait and see. And I'm also glad that the characters are going to be buffed and the map is going to be nerfed. Once again, you guys already know a majority of what my wants and desires are for Back 4 Blood, but let me know what your guys' wants and desires are for Back 4 Blood in the comment section down below. Tell me, what do you think about this news? Do you believe it? Do you not believe it? And if so, what do you want to see come of this news? But yes, guys, this is going to be it here for today's video. I truly hope you guys ended up enjoying. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, and subscribe. That way you can tell me that you want to see more videos like this. It goes a lot more than you realize. It's tremendously appreciated. You can tell YouTube directly what you want to see from me. Same thing with me as well, because it's literally there in the proof of your likes, comments, and subscribes. But yeah, guys, at the end of the day, this is going to be my video for Back 4 Blood news that we've got thus far. Once again, if you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the YouTuber link down below that I got the original idea from in the first place, and I hope you guys enjoyed another YouTube video for the most unique YouTuber you're ever going to see. Peace out, guys.